Mr. Ceasar.
Good evening.
Over,
Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir.
Can you guys hear me? Because I can't hear myself.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today, and I really want to appreciate Ifeoluwa for not only Ifeoluwa, for having me today, and really see myself in like what I told him before the training started. I'm someone who so much love, doing this, like helping designers grow. And when I see myself in this type of atmosphere, I don't always misuse the opportunity. Oh, you guys can see my face, so let me put my camera on so you guys can see that funny face. My face is funny, so don't think I have this extraordinary look. Okay. Can you guys see me? All right. Okay. I actually did that for me to know if you guys actually see my face. Okay. So
good to see you.
Yeah, thank you guys. So I don't need to introduce myself again. Ifeolu already did so. I'm only going to go straight to today's topic, and like what I told him before we started the training, that white negative space is one of the most important things that every designer must know how to use. And I'm going to be opening your eyes to the secret of using it, because I have so many people today following me on Instagram, and most of the reason why they decided to follow me is because they notice something different in my design. And one of the things that I don't joke with when it comes to doing design is making every content on my design, like making the frame of my design full. And if you can achieve not making everything too full, believe me, you coming up with design is going to be very, very, very easy for you. And every design that comes out from you is going to look unique to everyone. So before I go into the meaning of white space, because I need to define it for you guys to know, I would like to let you guys know your purpose as a designer. All right, what makes you a good designer? Now, a good designer is somebody who do designs that that attract attention, and we are the one that do design that gives clear messages. All right, and then we do use design to tell story. So you cannot achieve these three things I mentioned without you not allowing room for negative space on your project. And I'm going to go straight to the definition of negative space. I'm going to put on my slide now for you guys to see. Yeah. Can you guys see my slide?
No. Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Oh, okay. You know what? Let me put up my camera. And I'll go to the...
So guys, while Mr. Adetunji is setting that up, adventure you. So this is the act to using Google Meet, especially if you don't want to lose a slide, or if you want to have a slide on your screen for the most part of it, is for you to go to go to Ceasar Graphix. There are two Ceasar Graphix. There is one that is muted. Go to that one, and that shows presentation, and tap on it and pin it, right? You tap on it, you see the pin icon, pin it so that as it's going through, you'll be going through with the slide, right? Is that clear? Yeah, please continue, please.
Okay, so excuse me. Okay, so I said so we need to define what a negative space is. So I have two definitions here. The first one is, I said negative space is the blank space or area around this space or area surrounding an image or text which is integrated into a design to highlight the body of the text or subject in question. All right. Now, this second one is what I always use when I'm working on any project, which is negative space is visual silence. And I'm going to tell you why I say this. Okay. So I'm going to go, before I tell you that, I'm going to go straight to um, why do we did it? All right. Okay, I've defined that. Okay, so let's go straight to why do we need it. Now I need you guys to do me a favor. If it's that you have to move away from any distraction, please, I would advise you do that now, because everything I'm going to be sharing with you here today are things that cost me money to get, and I don't want you guys to take it for granted. And like what I always say to my students, that if you go to any design school and they did teach you anything that is related to negative space, make sure you get your money back from the school, from the graphic design school. Okay. So I say here that we live in a world. Now I need you to get this. We live in a world that has a lot of stuff. All right. We are bombarded with imagery and messages every day. I'm sure you guys know that. We look at frenetic moving images on television and online. We see page after page, dense advertising in magazines. Even Instagram search page, it has multiple layers of information running simultaneously. Because we rarely see negative space or areas without content, it makes us stop and pay attention when we do. When the page is so cluttered with information, nothing stands out. When there's no room to breathe and space to give content priority, the layout can communicate effectively. Now, I'm sure most of us are used to. I don't know if we have. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if everybody here is from Lagos, but if you are a Lagosian, I'm sure you understand what I'm about to say here clearly. And if you are not a Lagosian, I don't know. I don't mind if you can get the contact of someone in Lagos and ask him this question I'm about to say now. Okay, so some of us are used to driving, and some of us don't have car. We, go to the bus stop to board bus, and then we to take us to where we're going. And you notice that most of the time we are at the bus stop, there's always noise from different angles. Or let me use, when you go to the markets, you hear noise from every angle. You see people saying pricing stuff from whoever they want to buy their item from, and then there's always noise everywhere. Now, when people find themselves in a place where there's no noise, you see them relax, you see them calm. Why? Because at that point, what they need is something that will be opposite what they get from where they were coming from. The same thing applies in graphic design. When you're doing design, people are already loaded with too many things that is making them find it difficult to get information. But when they see design that is less, that has less information, it makes them stop and want to read the design. But when the design is too full with too many information, it won't even make somebody who's just coming back from a place where there's too much noise and distraction, and then you now come up with a design that is too full with too many information. You are not going to allow the person to read the design, because the person will not want something that will add more to his or her problem. And that's the advantage of negative space. And that's one of the reasons why negative space always catch people's attention. When design has negative space, that's one of the reasons why it catches people's attention. And I have some designs here that I'm going to show you guys how negative space made the project successful. Okay, so I started a series in my group where I tell designers to send in their rejected designs, then I'll redesign it and send it back to them. So this design you have here on your screen is one of the designs that we designed for one of the group members. And one of the reasons why, I'm sure if you guys look at the artwork, the first thing that will catch your attention is the question mark. And then you'll notice that something strange is affecting the question mark, and that thing will make you read the information, like it will make you look at why something is not normal with the question mark, and it will make you look at the sentence on the question mark. Now, the reason why this is successful is because we have negative space. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse as I'm moving it on the screen. Can you guys see my mouse? Please, I need response.
No,
Yes, we can
Yes,
see.
we can.
You
We
can see
can.
my mouse move.
Yes,
All
we
right,
can.
cool.
Yes, we can.
So the reason why this is one of the reasons why this artwork is successful is because of the white space that we have around it. If we have other information close to this question mark symbol, you will find it difficult to see what is on it. Now, I'm saying this to open your eyes to it, that whenever you are trying to pass a message, all right, on your design, make sure that nothing is too close to that stuff you're using to pass the message. When something is close to it, that message, the way you are trying to make people catch the message you're trying to pass will be lost. So the reason why it's going to be very easy for every one of you to quickly see this question mark with those texts I put inside is because there's nothing close to the question mark. All right, I have another design again I'm going to show to you guys. Now, if you look at this design, I would have loved to show you guys the previous version of this design before I redesign it. When you first see a design, the first thing that catches your attention is the picture. And in fact, not only you, everybody, that's how we're programmed. We are programmed to always, make our attention go to checking of pictures first before we now start checking out the other information on our project. So when you first look at this design, the first thing that will catch your attention is the picture. And then the next thing will now be the title of the artwork and the other information that we have under it. Now, the reason why is going to be very easy for you, because if you look at the available courses here, you realize that the font size is not too visible like that. I mean, it's not too big, it's small, but you can easily read it. Now, the reason why you're going to find it easy to read simple, small text is because there's room for content to breathe. Because, I hear people say this a lot to me that, Ceasar, the people you are working with, I wish I can work for them, because I noticed that there are times when your texts are not too big. I've worked for clients that will say, no, the information is too big, make it bigger. Now, the reason why I'm always successful doing this is because I always give room for white space. I always give room for negative space. When there's negative space on your project, no matter how small the content you put on your design is, it will still be visible to the eye. And I want you two guys to know this. When you use negative space, I want you guys to know that nothing sits on a page neutral. I'll repeat it again. When there's room for negative space, when there's room for content to breathe, nothing you put on your page that will be neutral, people will see it. All right. But the reason why you notice that when you make the font smaller, people say they can't see it is because the page is already full. So the font you make smaller will be difficult for people to see. Now, I'll give you an example. And I want you guys to catch this. All right. In fact, before I even say that, let me just say this so that you guys will get it. When you make content or your design bigger, okay, Tunji, don't get distracted. My mind is going somewhere else. So, okay, so when you make content on your design bigger, all right, what you are trying to say to the people that you are looking at your design is, this stuff I make bigger is closer to your eye. The ones you make smaller is far from your eye, and then the one you make very small is now far than the title and the other information on your design. I'll use an example, like if you let's say you are in the market and somebody walk close to you, like somebody is in front of you, you'll notice that the person close to you is going to be bigger. The person is going to be bigger than the person behind the person that is close to you. That's the same thing. The same thing applies to graphic design. But when you now have too many big content on your design, the people that you are trying to pass the message to, your audience, will find it difficult to look at, to find, they'll find it difficult to see, to to navigate through your project, to know what's the first thing they need to see. And that is why you need white space. That's why you need negative space to make things not too big, like allow space for content to breathe, where one thing is going to be bigger than every other thing, that when they see that, okay, when they see the big thing on your artwork, that big thing they see, they will assume it to be something, they will assume it to be something that is closer to them compared to the ones that are far. That when they now first see the bigger one, then they will now start, scanning through your project to see the one that is bigger next to the first one that catches that catches their attention, and then they now go to the last one. But when you make everything too big, you make everything, you've occupied the entire space, nothing will stand out. I don't know if you get my explanation here, because as I'm saying it is looking as if I'm talking to myself. So if you really get what I just explained now, just let me know by saying carry on. And if you don't, just say please come again.
Carry on, sir.
Carry on, sir.
All right. Thank you guys. So I have another artwork from Coca-Cola adverts. All right, now the reason I'm showing you guys all these designs that shows illustration is for you to know that one of the reason why this is successful is because there's nothing close to those illustration. When you start moving content close to your illustration, like you are doing a design and then you want to use a picture to depict what the design is talking about, if you add anything close to that element or object on your design, people will find it difficult to understand the relationship between that. Because let me put, for example, if you are as you are now, you took a passport and you are trying to apply for a job, and before you took the passport, no, after taking the passport, God forbid something negative happened, that the look on your face had to change. All right, maybe you now had maybe like something like a scar on some part of your face. I'm telling you, that the day you go for an interview with the previous passport before the incident happened, if you tender your stuff to the people to your employee, when the first thing they will say is, even before they say anything, they will look at the passport and look at your face, and they will look at you more than 10 times, because they will start imagining, okay, so this mark here is not on your face here. How come you have the mark on your face? Is that they tell you, can you go back and retake another passport, or they tell you, are you sure you are the right person on this passport? The same thing goes with graphic design. So when you are trying to use an image to illustrate what the design is talking about, if anything is touching it, if it is text, if it is shapes, because I know so many of us we are very good at using shapes a lot. When you draw a shape close to that object or element, you are passing another message to the people when you do that. So when you are doing design, allow room for content to be. Allow room for, you always make sure you allow room for anything you are putting on your design. If you look at this Coca-Cola design, and you see that we have feel energy, and I'm sure I don't need to explain what the symbol of that illustration is talking about. And if you connect it to the title of the artwork, you see that they have this solid connection, feel energy. So it means if you plug yourself into drinking Coca-Cola, you're going to get energized. All right. Now, sorry, I'm breaking. That's not part of my teaching today. So, but the reason why this is successful is because nothing is close to the illustration. And if you look at the title, you realize that the title is one of the reasons why they want people to know the power of Coca-Cola, but it's not as big as the illustration. And if you look at it very well, you realize that you can still see the title of the artwork. So you see now that the size of your artwork does not matter if you allow room for content to breathe. If the feel energy is close to the bottle of the Coca-Cola, it will change the illustration of the Coca-Cola advert. Are you feeling me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
I will ask you guys questions a lot, all right? Because I want you guys to be on the same page with me. Okay? All right. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Now, I decided to use a movie poster as part of my illustration for you guys to know that white space is not only for flyer designs, brochure designs, and so on. You can also use it for movie posters. Now, I'm sure the person that did this poster was given the description about the movie. It was given information about the movie, what the movie is about, and he decided to make Tom Hanks, which is the character on the artwork, look look at that direction where he was looking, for you to know that something is actually calling his attention. If this poster is filled with, the way we know all this action movie poster where you see the actor holding gun and then you see a fire effect behind him and so on, if those things are on this artwork, that message of Tom Hanks looking at that direction where he's looking will be lost. But because we have room on that part where he's looking at, we're able to know that, okay, something is actually calling his attention. Now you see the advantage of white space now. If there's no white space there, you won't notice this. If there's so many things on that side, you won't notice it. In fact, if you look at it, if let's say the artist drew something like a circle effect on that side, the first thing that will come to our mind is, okay, the actor is actually looking at the circle. So that means there's something like a circle on that there's something like a circle in the movie that is calling the attention of the actor, which is going to pass another message about the movie. But because we don't have any other information, we don't have anything on that side of the artwork, this made the poster successful by asking we the audience the question that we must answer. And what is that question? We can't answer it until when we watch the movie, because the question we ask ourselves is, okay, why is he looking at that direction? There must be something going on in that movie that is making him look at the direction. And then the next thing we'll do is to go and then find a way to get the movie. So pardon me, guys, I need to quickly somebody's at the door. Just give me 2 minutes, I'll be back, please.
Okay, sir.
I'm sure we are learning one or two things. I'm sure it's still at the introductory stage, and if you understand what it's saying, negative space, don't be confused by the word negative, right? Negative space means white space, and even white space doesn't mean white, the sense of white, color white. It means the space around any object or any object within a particular design or for example, if you look at, if you want to understand negative space, it's okay. It's back. Okay. Let him continue, please.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so all right. So when you do designs, I know this one is not part of the negative space, but I'm going to slot this one in to help you guys. Well, now, when you are doing design, make sure that you do things that will post questions that the audience must answer. When you start posting questions in your design, it's going to make your design successful, and your audience will find it difficult to forget what you put on your design. Okay, now one of the ways you can achieve this is making sure that you don't put anything close to that thing that you want to use to catch their attention. I do this a lot when I'm working on any project. I try as much as possible not to move anything close to my content. So when you do that, it will tell, in fact, you'll be able to tell the story. Remember in the beginning, I told you about, what we designers do, what we're supposed to be doing when we're working on project, that we should give clear message, we should tell story, we should attract attention. If you're working on any project, all these things are things you're supposed to put into your project, but you can't achieve this when there's no room for content to breathe. When anything is too close to your content, when your content is too choked to each other, it will start giving another message from what you are trying to pass to your audience. All right. So, but when you allow room for content to breathe, you are going to be able to tell the story that you want to tell, and your audience will be able to grab it. Then, so I'm going to go to how to use it. All right. Now, before I explain how to use this, I'll first let you guys understand that learning how to use white space is like, it's not different from the way you learn to walk as a baby. Or for those of you that didn't know when you started walking, although none of us know when we started walking, use a baby as an example. Look for any baby around you, look at the way the baby works. Then the baby is now what you're going to now use to understand, okay, this is how I'm supposed to learn how to use white space. Because when you start using it, there are times when you may not get it, but if you keep using it, if you don't stop, it will become part of you, and then you'll start seeing it everywhere. Okay, so I say if an element on the layout is not adding to this is how to use it now. If an element on the layout is not adding to the message, it's taking away from the message. And I said again, I said it previously, I said nothing sits on a page neutral. So if you are working on a project and you are adding elements, I know most of us are very good at using shape, drawing of boxes. Yes, it's good to draw boxes, but that box that you are drawing must have a message that it passes on your project. You don't just draw box on your design. There must be a reason why you're putting that box there. There must be a reason why everyone goes. In fact, the funniest thing is shape is one thing that we human easily easily see. When we see, in fact, when we see something, the first thing we look at is we scan it and then start looking at the shape that thing looks like. After defining the shape that thing looks like, then we now start looking at it like, okay, so we now start asking ourselves the question like, okay, so why is it there? And that is why you see today that most companies have logos. That logo you are looking at, when we first see it, we first scan and look at the shape of that logo. After looking at the shape, they will now try and connect it to the organization to see, okay, if there's any connection between the shape and the organization. So if there's no connection between them, we start looking at them like they are not professionals. Sorry, I'm going to the logo part. All right, so so I said that nothing sits on a page neutral. So when you are putting anything on your page, if it's a shape, know that shape you are using is not going to just be there. It's going to pass a message. All right. Now I'm saying this for you to know that if you really want to use white space, all right, make sure you don't use anything that you know that is not necessary. I know some of us always do that when we realize that space is too much. Then we'll now start using shape to cover. No, don't do that. When you start adding those shapes, you are killing the design. So the goal is not for you to add, but to subtract. So I have this design that one of my group members sent to me. And yeah, some of you will go like, okay, but see that the design is simple and, yeah, the design is simple. But the reason why the message on this design is lost is because we have some symbols that is not adding any value to the project. And that is the reason why I decided to put the one I designed on the right side of the one that the designer designed. Now, the reason why the one I did was successful is because there's room for content to breathe. I was even able to explain every other information on the project with just looking at the picture, which the one he did, you have to start going through everything sequence by sequence. All right. Now, the reason why I was successful with this was because there's room for content to breathe. There's room for my image to tell the story that it needs to tell to the audience. And okay, so then I want you guys to know that there are times when clients always see negative space as room to add more content. All right, they always think they are getting a good deal when they see the whole page filled. A good way to highlight the importance of maintaining negative space is just to show the client to show the client the solution in context. If it's a page in a magazine, put it in a magazine and let the client turn the pages. Use Photoshop to strip the project into an environmental context. If it's supposed to be put on construction barricades or bus shelters, do a Photoshop mock-up of your artwork where the client is planning to place the design. Now, what you do is you can still do the one that the client asked you to do, and then do a mock-up of the two designs and present it to the client. I'm sure when the client sees it, the client will fall for the one that is simple, because the simplicity of the design is what will catch people's attention. All right. Then there's another example I want you guys to see here. All right, which is this. I'm sure some of us are business. In fact, every one of us are business people. Now, if you can see my screen, can you say, go on, please? Because I need you guys to
Go on, please.
Go on, please. Please.
right. Thank you. So now, every one of you are designers who are looking. I'm sure every one of you will love to be the boss of your own company. All right. Now, I have these two pictures of these two guys here, and the both of them now, they came to your company and said, okay, they saw the vacancy you put outside for somebody who's going to be the auditor of your company, and then they now say they want to work for you. Now, I need every one of you to say something here, and I don't want you to be partial. All right. Among these two men, who are you going to trust to be your auditor? Is it the one with the hat, or the one
on suit? The one on suit.
The man.
All right. Now, the reason why you are going to trust the man on the suit is because his outfit looks simple. You can easily see his tie. You can even see the color, the stripes on his tie easily. But the guy with the tiger skin or leopard, is it cheetah or cheetah? I think it's, the tiger and cheetah outfit. You are not going to trust him because his outfit already look like too much money. And that outfit alone is what is making you get scared of calling him to work with you. The same thing applies to graphic design. When your design is too full and it's too busy, people won't trust what you're doing. It won't even make people want to have something to do with your design. But when your design is smart and neat and simple, people will love what you do, and they will even want to read the information on your design. Now you see the advantage of negative space and using negative space and not using negative space. I also have this movie scene that I'm going to use as an example for you guys. Even movies, I'm sure most of us here have watched action movies a lot. You will realize that there are times where everything is going to be busy, where the actor is going to be, fighting the enemy, and then you see them shooting guns, you see them fighting each other, kicking each other, throwing tables, throwing chairs, and so on. And then you realize that there are times when everything will just be so quiet in the movie. All right, where there's not too much sound except aside the voice of the actor and the person the actor is talking to. And you will realize very well, you realize that that quiet time is when they normally let you know what the movie is about. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that if you really want to tell a story, you should use white space, use silence, like put it in a way that nothing is going to distract people's attention. All right. Now, some of you will look at it like, okay, so negative space, is it supposed to be white? No, negative space is not supposed to be only white. Negative space can be any color. All right. But what I'm just trying to how you will now know a negative space is when you realize that nothing is close to the content on your design. Now, negative space is not only when you apply it to that, let's say, that image that you're trying to pass the message to your audience. No, you can also use negative space when you are trying to put, for example, you are trying to write a date on your design and you're trying to write the address. Don't move the date and the address too close to each other. Allow a little bit room in between the two of them. Now, when you allow that room, when people read the date and then they see that space, you are giving them that room to relax before they read the address. But when you move the date and the time together, people will assume that that date and the address are one paragraph. I'm sure you guys understand the way we read things here, that, when we see things that are close to each other, we just read everything at once. But when you allow that room for space, like if you allow space between the address and the date, you are telling them that, okay, after reading the date, I want you to calm down before you get to the address. And when you do that for people, it make them trust you. It make them look at you like you know what you're doing. It make them always want to wait. They always wait for your next project to come out. All right. So I think I am going to stop here on the negatives part, not negative space topic, and thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking time out. So guys, if you have any questions, if you type your question in there or you want to use your mic, please let me know. So if you have any question, just let me know that you have a question, so that we can ask Mr. Adetunji what we probably don't have answers to. So Ayomide Gabriel, please, can you unmute your mic and ask your question, please?
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Sir Ceasar, thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate it. I've really learned so much, sir.
Yeah.
Quickly to my question, sir. How do we, because over time I've had this issue of clients and you and me being the graphic designer. How do you, there's some clients that actually they have, when they give you a job to do, and when you give them the best, in terms of negative spacing that I just explained to us, how do you tend to convince them more? Because I know you said it along the line, whereby you give them 2 different mock-ups, but there are some that maybe in terms of their stubborn clients or so, sorry for using that word, how do you convince them and let them know that this is not right? And let them that this is the right trend that people use?
Okay, so can you hear me?
Can you hear you, sir?
Okay, beautiful. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know most of we designers always forget. We don't always do this, and I will employ every one of you to start doing this now. Okay, now every client you see out there always have organizations that they are looking at. All right. So what you need to do is you need to ask your clients that who are your competitors. So when they give you their competitors, you realize that what their competitors are doing is unique to them, and that's why they are trying to be ahead of them. So what you need to do now is, you now tell them that, see, you need to be ahead of these people. And if you check what they do is catching your attention, is because everything they do is always unique to people. I'm sure one of the things that they will like about those people is because they do things that are not too things that are too simple. In fact, let me tell you one funny thing that most of we Nigerians, I don't know, maybe people outside Lagos do this. The number one bank in Lagos here is GT Bank. All right. If you check the service that GT Bank provide, it's not different from the same service that every other bank provide. But the reason why it looks as if GT Bank is different from every other bank is because GT Bank understand that anything that is going to come out from us in terms of creatives must be simple. It must be something that when people see the picture, they get the message without even going through the information on the poster. So your job as a designer is, before you work for anybody, always ask them, who are your competitors? So if you see what their competitors are doing, all right, that's what you now use to, to key them, like to put them in that cage where they won't be able to tell you, I don't want that space. All right, that's what I do. I always ask my clients, who are your competitors? And when they tell me their competitors, in fact, I'm always happy when I see designs from their competitors, because that will even give me the power to do something better than what their competitors are doing. So I tell them, I said, listen, this is what your competitor is doing, and this game, you have to be ahead of them. All right, this design that I'm doing for you is something that they don't do. And let me tell you, if you put the story, the biography of your design in the biography of your company in your design, you are not going to be successful with selling your brands with that artwork. But when you just put one line about your story, about you on your artwork, you have created suspense. I do this a lot for my clients. I sit them down and I train them. I talk with them because most of them don't know all these things. What they know about is just only their brand. Your job as a designer is to educate them. If you don't know, whenever your clients call you for design, the design is your world. You are the one that will shape it to the look that they will like. So your job as a designer is to make sure you know who their competitor is and let them understand why, if the designs from their competitors is fine, let them understand why the design is attractive. Let them know why people are falling in love with what they do. So you need to do that. You need really to do that. I don't know if my answer helped you. If it does, please let me know, please.
Yes, that's helped, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. We have another question here from Victor. It says, in terms of balance, can negative space be too much? In terms of balance, there's balance as a principle of design, right?
Yeah.
Can there be anything like too much negative space or too little negative space?
See, for the balance part, there's nothing called too much negative space. In as much as you have stuff on your design, you are trying to let people, once you put something on the frame of your artwork, what you're trying to let people do is look at this thing. So there's nothing like big negative space. Now back to your question. When you try to make stuff balance on your design, all right, then you don't be worried about saying your negative space is too much. In fact, be worried about not making it to be too cluttered, like not making the whole space filled. That should be your worry. All right. So, and that's why I use an illustration for you guys when I was showing my presentation where I did that academy artwork. All right. You notice that I actually made something bigger, and then the other information on my design are not as big as the very first one. So if that first one catches people's attention, it will make them, all right, want to read the other information on the design. Do you understand? So don't be worried about, say, too many spaces too much. What you should be worried about is not making the page choked with too many content. If you make it simple enough, your design will be very balanced. In fact, it will even create tension. Like what I told the host before we started this webinar, that when there's no white space, forget about contrast. Any design that does not have white space, there will be problem for contrast because everything will be too heavy and there will be too much contrast. Forget about hierarchy. But when there's white space, that is when you have room for contrast and hierarchy and everything on your design. All right? So if I answered your question, if you're satisfied, let me know. And if you're not, let me know. Hello?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy.
Did I answer his question?
Mr. Adetunji, rather.
So,
Okoyemi saying, is negative space also applicable? Was answered. Victor, unmute your mic, please.
Hello, I can't hear anything anymore.
Well, I don't know if Victor is here. So let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
He has answered that he's satisfied.
Okay, is negative space also applicable to editorial design? Like, okay. He has answered in the comment section. Okay, chat section. Okay, is negative space also applicable editorial designs like ebook cover and magazines?
Okay, so for ebook design, yes, negative space also is necessary, but for that one, I'm going to use, in fact, the ebook and the magazine, I'm going to put them together. Yes, I'm going to put the two of them together as one. And I'm going to take you back to the time I talked about the movies, where you notice that there are times when things are always going rough, and then there are times when you just notice that everything's just quiet. Okay, so when you're working on magazines or ebook, I would advise that when you're trying to go to the next chapter, allow room for content to breathe. Let people understand that okay, you have finished a chapter, you're about to get to the next one. And then for the magazine, there are times when you don't need anything. In fact, that's why if you check most of all these foreign magazines, you realize that when you see pages with articles, if you start opening the pages, you see pages with articles, and then you just see there's a page where you don't see anything and just picture and then little article on one side. So at that point, what they're trying to let you know is we want you to relax. And that's why you see at times again that you see that companies that do magazine, they have, they always put adverts in between their magazine pages. So what they are trying to do for you there is they want you to relax. You're already loaded with too many articles, reading articles, seeing too many pictures with different layouts. And then when they now put that part where you see just only pictures, they are trying to let you understand that relax. All right, calm down before you now start another article again. So yes, you need negative space for magazine and ebook.
All right. Any other question? We have about 20 something people here.
Hello, please.
I don't know where everybody went.
Hello, Ifeoluwa, can you help me?
Yes.
Tell me if they are satisfied with the question, because I don't want them to think. I want everybody to understand me when I'm teaching them. Please, I'm always
Absolutely.
to that.
So those who ask questions and those who didn't ask questions, do you understand? Are you satisfied with the question with the answer given by Mr. Adetunji? If you're fine with that, just use the chat section and say, just let me know. Okay, they're saying yes, they're fine with it.
Get people's response already. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for your messages. Yeah. Thanks.
There's another question. Yes, please. Another. Victor is asking, is there any formula we can use to summarize stories we want to tell in images to have more space in our design? Is there any formula we can use to summarize stories we want to tell in images to have more space in our design in order to avoid using too many images? So I'm sure it's talking about the use of imagery.
I like that question, and so this is where you people who have been learning photo manipulation, all right, this is where you need to now start using the photo manipulation. All right, remember that good design creates suspense. All right, you don't need to use too many images to explain the story about the design. I used a movie poster for you guys previously where you see that character looking at one side of the design. All right. Now, I'm sure there are other things that happen in that movie. All right. And you'll notice that they didn't put it on the movie poster. But the look on that actor's face already made you know that okay, something actually happened. That's why if you check horror movies, you will realize that yes, you see them kill so many people in the movies, but the only thing you see on the poster may be the face of the character who is actually causing the problem, or you see a house that shows light and every other part is darker. So what they're trying to let you understand now there is to create suspense for you, and that is why you see magazine posts, you see magazines, you see them use a picture of the character on the cover, and then they don't see any other thing aside from letting you know that okay, is this person that is on the cover, and then what the person talked about. You will never see them write the full article about the magazine on the cover. What they're trying to do for you right there is to create suspense, is for you to buy the magazine and read the story about the cover. And that's why you see newspapers also. You see them write the headlines of the topics of the newspaper on the cover. What they're trying to do right there is to create suspense for you. So when you're doing design and you're trying to use image to illustrate what the design is talking about, if it is just one image that you're going to use to explain what the design is about, use it. If it's one image you can use and then use maybe do little of photo manipulation to show something that is not possible on that image, you have created suspense. You've made people go like, like it can't be possible. Okay, like there was a time I did uh, um, um, a poster, all right, for there's an event coming up in my church, and I was asked to do a poster for the meeting. Okay, so the meeting is tagged Snow in Lagos. Actually, the title of the meaning of that snow is Supernatural Night of Wonders. So what I did was, okay, I want people to see the supernatural. I want to depict the supernatural on the artwork. So I thought of that. Okay, how am I supposed to depict the supernatural on this design? Normally, somebody else would have, combined so many images that show supernaturals together to show what the supernatural is talking about. But what I did then was I went, I did a research. I searched for the three statues. I don't know what they call those statues in Lagos here. There's these three statues that, when you see those statues, you know that yes, we are now in Lagos. I don't know their name. So what I did then was I converted those three.
That's it.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you guys know what it is. So I converted those three statues I converted them to ice block. I made it look as if they are freezed. So when they saw the artwork in my church, they were like even the people that were supposed to approve the artwork they were laughing and they started saying lie, snow can never fall in Lagos, lie. And later they realized that, we are even calling the title of the artwork. Well, it was when they were arguing, I said, it's even the title of the artwork. So you see now that the supernatural and then the freezing of those guys with snow dropping already explained the supernatural, and the design was successful. So you people that do photo manipulation, this is an opportunity for you. In fact, your photo manipulation should be what you're going to be using to tell stories a lot, and which is what you notice that one of the artwork I showed you guys on my slide, which is the one I designed for the people in my group, you realize that normally you will hardly see a picture of someone putting rope on watering can and then watering a grass that is showing growth. No, it's not possible. But because you saw that image, you already, in fact, you already defined the message that the artwork is talking about. You've forgotten that it doesn't exist. I don't know if you guys are getting what I'm saying. That picture of that thing not existing is not coming to your mind, but the result, the message that thing is trying to pass. So people, like what I tell my students, today's audience, they like entertainment a lot. And we are the ones who are going to entertain them more with what we have here. So you need it. You need to, you don't need to put too many images. Just get one image and then play with the image and then put it on the design. In fact, one image alone creates suspense more than too many images. All right? I don't know if I answered that question. I don't know if I answered Victor's question.
Hello, guys. Do you understand the question, Victor? Has answer been given to your question, and are you satisfied with it? Someone is asking another question. In the next 5-10 minutes, we'll be done. Where can I find dramatic or explanatory images that you usually use for your design, sir?
Okay, so I use Shutterstock, and I use some free stock websites. All right, I use Unsplash, I use Pixel, what's the name, Pixel or what they call it. But what I do most of the time is most of my images, I always manipulate them myself. I always convert them to the look that I want. All right, because and that is why I always make sure that I get description from my clients. I always ask them, what message are we trying to pass to the people? Why do we have this design? Why do you want people to come for the meeting? So all these things are what I'm going to put together that will make me come up with the design. All right. So, but what I do is, don't forget, and that's why designers, please, I would advise you do this. I know most of us don't do it. Make sure you get design description from your clients. If you don't, you won't do the picture they have. You won't even come up with what they have. Even if the design you did is telling the story, if it's different from the purpose, if it's different from the message that the client is trying to pass, they will reject the design. And that's why you see some designs that you did for some clients. The designs are always beautiful, and at the end of the day, they reject it. So make sure you know what the design, what the client is looking for, and then put it in the project. Use it to come up with this, the concept for the design. All right.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. I was hoping that people will still have more questions, but I don't know why people are not asking questions. But in the form that people filled while registering for this session, they were. Let me just run through a few of them. What they said they were open to learn. And so, if you are in this session and you think the session has addressed some of the questions that you have in mind, please let us know. So someone was saying he was hoping to learn how I can properly use negative space, alignment, and proportion. Do you have anything to say about that? Negative space, alignment, and I was about asking, what's the place of gridding in using negative space?
Okay.
Knowing what should be. Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay, so yes, I'm glad that somebody asked this. Now, negative space, excuse me, negative space cannot work without the work of grid. All right, you need grid when you are working on when you're trying to make your design simple. And when you are working on the project, you need to decide what type of layout are you trying to achieve. Is it the symmetry layout or the asymmetry layout? All right, so if it's the symmetry layout, you know that everything's supposed to be at the center of your project. The asymmetry layout will be the one that you just play around positioning your content around your frame, but make sure that everything falls on a grid. Okay, so when you're working on a project and you are trying to achieve negative space, grid is one of the things that will help you achieve that well, because it will make you know that, okay, when your content is not on the right grid, it means you are making things close to each other. Okay, so I think that's just the answer I'm going to say to that.
All right. Let me see. I do not think most of the things people hoped they would love to learn from this session, I think you've addressed it. I think you've addressed the one that says how I want to learn how to properly apply negative space in digital design and still keep it as visual and engaging as possible. I think that answers most of the questions that. So another thing I would like to chip this to ask this, in case people are not asking, is I understand that the purpose of negative space, right, is like you said, is to make your reader or to make your audience settled and ensure that they are carried along every detail or every information on your design, right? Another thing also about negative space is that it aids how your eye travels from point A to point B, right? And like you said, without other principles of design, hierarchy, and all those things, negative space is required to achieve those things, right?
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. What I understand. So, for example, some say when they are designing, right? I think I've got what I want to say. The use of typography, right? The goal of negative space is to ensure that your audience gets the message. They are carried through along relevant and most important information that will benefit them. What is the use of typography? What do you have to say about typography? You have people using so many typefaces, right? And that alone is even confusing. Can that negate the use of negative space?
Okay, so no, it doesn't affect the negative space. You understand? Because some people may use different types and still allow space on their design. It doesn't affect it, but when you do that, that means you are, because when you combine fonts on your design, that means you are trying to create contrast. And when you now have too many contrast on your design, it kills the beauty of the design. So when you're working on a project, and then let's say for example I use sans serif and I now mix it with scripts. So I'm trying to say that people's attention should go to the no. Let me put it this way: if I use more of, I can't believe we're going to the typographic lesson. Okay, so
Sorry.
if I'm using too many of sans serif type and I put one script inside, what I'm trying to say is I want people's attention to go to the script. But if I have too many scripts and I put one sans serif type inside, I want people's attention to go to the sans serif. But if I now have if I have sans serif, I have script, I have sans and so on, different type of font, I'm going to get people confused. Because
True.
when they see it, they'll start looking for, okay, what's the first thing I need to see? What's the first thing I need to see? What's the first thing I need to see? You know the way our people do now. Nobody's always ready to wait for anything that will make him go through stress of understanding the message. Then the message that you're trying to pass to the people will get lost. And people they won't look at the project anymore. So using of too many type does not affect the white space, but the only thing that is going to kill is going to get people confused to look at, to spend time to read what your design is about.
Absolutely. Final question, and we'll call it a wrap. Someone is saying, you mentioned about getting project description, more like brief on the project that you want to work on.
Yeah.
He says, what kind of questions can I ask? Because he understands that specific questions will definitely elicit specific answers, right? He's trying to get response to that, an answer to that.
Okay, so everything in life has its own purpose. All right, I'm going to start with that, and you need to know the purpose of the design. I think I did a post on my Instagram page that says something about that. Explain this further. I would advise you guys go and check it, but let me just try and say the ones I can remember here. So you need to know the purpose of the design. So you ask them, why do you want to do this design? They'll tell you, yes, I just started this business and I want people to know that this thing can do this for them, it can do that. So all those things that the client is saying, you write it down, or you don't even need to write it down. Just do a form. All right. Say, why the design? Do you understand? Then ask them again that what can that item do? If it's an item, ask them what can it do. If it's that they're trying to promote maybe a hotel or something, ask them, why do you think people need to lodge in your hotel? Do you understand? If it's that if it's a church program and they want people to come, you ask them what inspired the title of that meeting. So what inspired the title of that meeting is what you're going to use for the design. That is why you see most of all these foreign posters at times. You see the title talking about something, and then the image that they use as the illustration is almost saying something different. It's because the message behind that title is what the designer used. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think I have to stop there.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to sincerely appreciate Mr. Adetunji. Okay, someone said, if you remember at the beginning of designer discourse, we had a little argument about this topic. Space as an element of design. He thinks it's the second biggest or most important element of design after line. After line is saying space is the second most important element of design, because obviously without space you can't do anything, and so negative space is very critical in your design, right?
Can I quickly start something here before I forget, because it's part of what I want to tell you guys today.
Yes, please.
Very important. I believe everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so all right, I want you guys to know
Yes,
this
sir.
because I know most of you always fight with this, and I'm sure after saying this, it's going to help bless every one of you. Everybody is not your client. All right, everybody who calls you for design is not your client. There are some clients that don't understand what it takes to do good design. Okay, now I'm not saying you should not work for them if they say this is what they want on their project. You have to do it for them, but never put what they ask you to do on your portfolio. Okay, now as I'm talking to you, I have some people that I don't put their designs on my portfolio. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when they call you for design and they say this is what they want you to do it for them. It's not, don't argue with them. You understand what I'm saying? Even architects, there are times when the owner of the building will say, no, no, I don't want this room here. I want this room here. What they will never tell the person no. It's okay, no problem. But they understand why they don't want to put the room there because it may affect some things. But if they explain, after explaining, and the owner say, no, that's not what I want, this is what I want, they will do it. The same thing goes with designers too. So when your client says this is what I want, after explaining why you think it can't work, and they still insist that no, this is the way I want it, don't argue with them. A good designer don't argue. So what you do is do it for them, but never put that project in your portfolio. Now somebody will say, okay, so if I have so many of those type of clients, how am I going to now build a portfolio? Beautiful. So what you need to just do is make sure that you don't wait for anybody to employ you. Employ yourself. Don't wait for clients' design to put on your portfolio. Come up with good designs yourself, put them in your portfolio, explain why you made the design that simple, and then you're good. All right. So if you
Thanks so much for bringing up that conversation. And like like I said, Designers Discourse is a platform where people definitely we look at things differently. We have divergent views, and the tagline or the slogan, if I will put it for Designers Discourse, is discover your truth, right? And the reason why I said I'm proud about Designers Discourse and the kind of conversation and openness we give people to express how they feel about certain topics, certain issues as regards design is because we can learn from each other, right? And one thing I would say to contribute to what you said is that I think that's why I respect the medical profession, right? If I'm a patient, right, and I go to see a doctor, the doctor first diagnoses me, right, to know what the problem is, right, and he prescribes certain drugs for me. But you know that there are some patients who are very adamant. They are very stubborn.
Yeah.
They feel this medication should work for me. What you are prescribing to me is not what I think works for me. What the medical doctor does is that they bring out a consent form, right? Because this is a matter about life and death. So if you use this drug or whatever, you might die. And they will say it's the doctor that killed you, right? Bring out a consent form. Let the client or the patient put pen to paper and say, I was the one who asked for this.
Yeah.
Walk away and say, no, I can't treat you. I can't administer that drug to you. Go somewhere else. They might meet someone who will say, no, take this drug because that's what they want, right? I think as creatives, as designers as well, if we can also have consent forms, some like that, somewhat, right? And say, please, and this is a perspective. People will go with one perspective and the other. Some will say, I will give a consent form or an NDA kind of form that states never mention that I was the one who did that work for you, right? Never put my name as the designer for that work. If anybody asks you who designed it, never mention my name, right? Some designers do that. But some designers would say, I will do it. I want to give with the client. After I've educated the client or explained to the client this and this and this, I think works for you and all that. Some will say, if the client still insists, I will do it. I'll put my money and all that. But one thing I've come to understand is that because of the way the design industry is, the low entry level of the design industry, once you have your laptop and all that, people don't really go to school to study design like that as they study engineering, accounting, and all. So the barrier to entry is so low, right? And because it's so low, I personally feel, it's my own personal opinion, that the more we give clients what they want, right, and we don't turn them down, the more we are causing more problem to the industry, because it is what these clients are exposed to that they believe is right, right? And when I take a client's job and give the client what the client wants, when I know it is not right, and when I know that work cannot even be in my portfolio, I think I am on my own also affecting the industry or affecting upcoming designers who such clients might not reach out to me. They'll reach out to this guy and say, just take, for example, there's a mock-up that's flying up and down, right? Everybody is complaining about that mock-up. Everybody's even saying that is logo. Do you get my point? Everybody's saying that's logo. Everywhere you turn to, you see that mock-up, right? And it's because people are just sharing and say, this mock-up. And people are not turning down and say, this is not a logo. This is... So I just think that people should find what works for them. But I also think that if you know that something is, you have values, you have ethics, you are guided profession or the ethics of the profession, principles of the profession and all that. I think the more I turn down clients, the more you turn down clients who want bad design and they go somewhere else and they find out that people are turning down this, they are turning down what I want to, right? The more they also be enlightened than we just giving them what they want and the circle grows. Because I can say I would do a work for a client and not put it in my portfolio. The client might agree not to mention my name. But what happens when the client's friend sees that design and because the client has said, I have an NDA, I'm not mentioning the name of the person, gives that same bad work to a designer and say, I want this. And the designer says, okay, shall we say we should be doing what they want to, let me do it. We would only be infiltrating the industry with bad design. So it's a good advice you gave. Don't argue with your clients. Educate them as much as you can. Let them see reason. And this is where I will close out with. As a designer working for clients, be open to their feedback. Be open to hear them out, right? But within the confines of professionalism, meet their needs. Ensure that, because sometimes clients can give you feedback that you never thought of and would also aid the final project, right? Will make it better. And you can see reason to clients and say, okay, you don't want the room to be here, like you made reference to the architect. Okay, I think if the room is here, or you can even still do it in a way that tomorrow, a year, 2 years after, the building is not collapsing. Because if it collapses, or because you know that if you put it here, something might happen tomorrow. You will still need to, as a professional, educate that client. But if the client is saying, no, put it here, let that client put pen to paper and say, I was the one who said it to do this, right? When the building collapses, when there's problem, the client, the designer, the architect, the doctor is absolved of any blame. So that's just what I wanted to say. Do you have anything to add to that so that we'll wrap it up?
You mean me?
Yes, please.
Okay, so thank you, Ifeoluwa, for even helping me to add other things. I'll be, because I say this a lot to designers. So you've also helped me with knowing what other things I'm going to add to it by, putting an agreement down that I'm not involved in this. I mean, you were the one that actually approved this. So, yeah, what I'll just say is, I'm just going to say thank you again for giving me this opportunity to, teach people part of what I know. And I pray that God will continue to give you the grace to do more of this. And I pray that everyone will take part of today's training. This will never go off your mind. It will become what you're going to use in your design career, and it would make you do great things that will open door for more good jobs that would take you to that level that you pray to see yourself. All right. So, and I wish you guys happy graphic design.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Ekeade Adetunji, also known as Ceasar Graphix. I've been blown away by your works. I follow you even before I reach out to you. I'm so impressed, and you are one person who has blown my mind. Right? You know, we always say. In fact, I've come to realize that good things even come out from places you least expected it to come out from. There's a friend of mine, one mommy that I know so much. She says she knows you, that you are from Mushi.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you serious? So we can have an amazing designer from that place, because people say, Mushi designer. No, they're only designer. But we can have someone like you in that environment, in that space. Oh, no. I'm so proud of you. You are making significant and very, very, very impactful impression in the lives and minds of fellow designers. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful to you. People have said they want you to come back and have a session. So please, I'm sure that I hope that when I call you again, you would oblige us. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So please, guys, we can unmute our mics and appreciate Mr. Adetunji, Ekeade, Ceasar Graphix for coming to share with us, and let us appreciate him, please, before we call it
Thank
again.
you. I see you.
Thank you so
Personally,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
boss.
very much, sir.
I appreciate
Very
you.
much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you very much. I know most of you received my mail that was sent. I've been sending. Thank you very much for registering. If you're not following us, please, you can follow us on any of the social media platforms that you are on. The handles are on your screen. Follow us. Ask people to follow Designers Discourse on whatever platform they are on. Most especially Instagram. That's where we have more engagement on. So follow us, and in a couple of minutes or days, you'll receive a mail for feedback on this session. Let's know what you learned, what you would like us to do better, and thing that you think would help us. On this note, I want to say thank you. And by the way, I was recording this session. I am hoping that I'll be able to get access to the file, so I can put it on YouTube or wherever people can also have access to, because about 50 something people registered, and we barely had about 25 people. So so that people can also go back and listen and watch, right? On this note, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you guys. Thank you very much.
Very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Sir Ife.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ife. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Caesar. I
Mr.
really
Ife.
appreciate.
Oh, that is that. Thank you. Thank you.